You'll have bugs that you don't know how to handle. If the bug can change his taste buds, the bug can change this and that. Suppose he decides, because you're doing all this, one day he decided he will become this big. Is it a possibility? I asked. He said, we cannot say it's not possible. It is possible. See, if you can kill it by smashing it, but if you can't mass kill it with your whatever you're doing, sprays and antibiotics and this, if this does not work, just for let's say 1 year, half the humanity will die.
You don't necessarily know where to stop. And you might want to have these superhumans with the highest IQ. You know, this has been done even Hitler's time.
So they found across Europe, they picked up all young women, took them to the love camps to be impregnated by the German soldiers in hundreds, thinking they will produce some superhumanity. I will show you, this may be little hard for you to swallow, very hard for you to swallow, but you must come and see. I will put certain people through certain types of initiations. In 24 hours, you will see
Let's come to a much more scary aspect of biotechnology. So I'm not only going to talk about the good things of biotechnology.
I am genetically modified, you know.
Yeah, all of us are. It's about designer babies, okay? Now if you think about it, the whole thought of a designer baby is scary. But if you think about saying, okay, I can actually make sure that the same case that I talked about, that you are in this moral quandary about giving birth to a child with a genetic defect, but yet you can have gene editing technologies to fix that genetic defect and actually give birth to a normal child. So there are the good side of designer babies, but there's also a very scary side of designer babies, because like you said, human beings don't necessarily know where to stop. And you might want to have these superhumans with the highest IQ. This has been done even Hitler's time. I think they tried to develop, right? They tried to develop these superhumans, and through various their experimental, nasty and horrific experiments. But that can also happen today. And whilst you need regulations against such things happening, you will still have people who will be able to do this. Maybe some countries will say, why don't we indulge in these kind of technologies to create a super race in our country? How do you deal with this?
Kiran, this is where it is. When we think we can create a super brinjal or super cotton or super whatever, then a super mouse, super cow, super human being is natural progression of things, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But there is that moral…
No, it is not
moral. It is about humanity again.
No, I'm not looking at it as a moral thing. The thing is, genetic engineering or modifying life the way we want it is not a new aspiration. This has always been the aspiration of the human beings. We have gone to such extents in this country in the past. This is because they're trying to breed carefully. Like you're doing animal husbandry, that you're trying to breed carefully, like that they're trying to breed carefully, which Hitler tried to do in 20th century. Forcefully, it became ugly. Now we want to do genetic modification. That is, we want to deliver a child, this is the aspiration of every parent. We want to produce a child who's at least one step ahead of us. It's a natural aspiration and it must be so. Next generation should be at least one step better than us, isn't it? So for this, we created an entire process. From pre-conception to conception and post-conception, every day of these 9.5, 10 months, how a child should be kept in the mother's womb. There are very clearly defined processes, what you should do to deliver the best possible child in terms of health, well-being, intelligence. There are established processes. We have ignored all that, now we are going for biotechnology. Essentially, what you're trying to do is, the repetitive nature of the genetic imprint, you're trying to take it and bring a new quality, isn't it? There is substantial studies right now to show, through proper practice of yoga, meditation and certain other processes, you can distance yourself from the genetic imprint that you have and function as a completely new life. I will show you, this may be little hard for you to swallow, very hard for you to swallow, but you must come and see. I will put certain people through certain types of initiations. In 24 hours, you will see the way their face is, the very shape and form of their face will change, simply because they have distanced themselves from the genetic process. If you're not aware of this, in this country, when somebody walks the spiritual path, when he wants to take sannyas, first thing they will do is, they will do rituals for their parents, even if they're alive, to distance themselves from their genetic material. There are very established scientific processes, science not as you know it in the laboratory, science that can be operated from within, that you do certain things to distance yourself from the genetic process, so that you are not a repetitive life, you are a new life. New possibilities will arise. I can show you thousands of people who are functioning way beyond their natural IQs that they have. Way beyond that they will function, simply because they have distanced themselves from their biological imprints that they carry within themselves. But doing this, whatever you're talking about, it will look like we are doing great service when we relieve somebody of a disease. But we know that more than 50% of who we are is not us, but some other organism, 52% or something is supposed to be bacteria. Suppose they all reject us because of we are too modified for them, what'll happen? We definitely cannot live. Do you know, all of you? More than 52% of you is bacteria. Huh?
Microbiome.
So, suppose you modified yourself and the rest of the organisms which are supporting your life right now, they protested, you finished. So when are they going to protest? You do not know. Because we know from genetically modified crops, every 18 months they have to re-modify it because the bugs get mutated by themselves. The brinjal and the cotton that they're doing, every 18 months, they're again retuning it because whatever you had tuned it for, the bugs have again mutated themselves. So the bugs are becoming super bugs, whether you are becoming superhuman or not, the bugs are becoming super bugs. And how are you going to encounter these super bugs? I know all these horror movies have produced a bug which is 10 feet tall, comes and eats up your child or something. Something like that may not happen. The bug need not grow in size if you can't kill it. See, if you can kill it by smashing it, but if you can't mass kill it with your whatever you're doing, sprays and antibiotics and this, if this does not work, just for let's say 1 year, half the humanity will die, isn't it?
No, and we are dealing with super bugs these days.
No, not yet super enough. If they become super enough that you have no answer for them, I'm saying if it takes 1 year for you to find the answer, within that 1 year, at least half the human population will be exterminated. So when such things are there, I know it's a certain space where everybody wants to be up on somebody else, but I think this is an area where we must go little slowly. We should not stop, but we must go gently.
And build data. I still believe that we need to build…
We must build data, no question, but the veracity of the data takes time. See, in the last, let's say in the last 25 years, about human health, how many times have the world's scientists changed their opinion? Every year they're changing their opinion. Every year they're changing their opinion. So if every year you're changing your opinion, obviously you don't know what you're talking about,
Or
isn't it?
no, it's about different scientific teams trying to question some other findings.
All
I
right,
mean, that's what is
I'm saying we don't have a full picture. We don't have a full picture, that's a fact. When we don't have a full picture, how many things we change, we must be very, very cautious. We should not stop. It is not out of fear, it is out of concern and care that we must tread gently. We should not simply rush into it and regret it tomorrow.
So now I want to come back to…
I can tell you, this happened, you know. This happened in 2050. A bunch of bio-scientists got an appointment with God. They all went there and they said, "Hey, old man, you've been doing quite good with creation, but now everything that you can do, we can also do, it's time for you to retire." So God said, "Oh really? What is it that you can do?" They said, "We can make life." He said, "Okay, let me see a demo." So they picked up some soil, did this. You should put the details, I don't know anything. And they made the form of a human baby, and in 10 minutes the baby meow cried, became alive. God said, well, that's quite impressive, but first get your own soil.
Good one.
So messing around with the fundamentals of life, if you knew all of it, maybe it would be okay to do a few things. But right now, these things are being driven by commercial forces. They've invested $100 million, they're in a hurry to bring it to the market as quickly as possible because things are piling up on them. That's not the way to do these kind of things. These kind of things, if at all if we have to do, we must do it in such a way that there is no pressure to bring it into usage without really being 100% sure of what we are doing to this. Now, what we are assuming in this whole thing is, we are thinking, if you have good genetics, you will come out as a fantastic human being. That means you're a bloody racist. You better understand that. Adolf Hitler ran, for those days, what was called as love camps, because he believed his German soldiers, who are supposed to be Aryan or whatever, they are the best bred people. So they found across Europe, they picked up all young women, took them to the love camps to be impregnated by the German soldiers in hundreds, thinking they will produce some superhumanity. No, you may have whatever, your father may be built like a bull and you think it's great genetics. This does not mean you will produce a great human being. No, life doesn't work like that. You're discounting everything else. When your mother carried you in her womb with utmost love and what that did to the child, you've forgotten. You think it's only stupid genetics which is doing everything? Just look at in the same family, born to the same parents, or children the same way, same genetics, nonsense. One is there, one is here. Isn't it so? So we're discounting the impact of consciousness, the impact of human emotions, human thought, the atmospheres we create. So none of that is relevant, just manipulate genetics. There was a big controversy in India about genetically engineered plants. GM cotton came, then GM brinjal came. I was trying to understand what this is, so one of the major companies which is doing this, I met this guy and asked him, what is it? What is it that you're manipulating? all they're doing is with the vegetables, mainly the problem is when you grow vegetable crops, which are short duration, 3 to 6 months, whatever the lifespan of that plant, to get that maximum yield, one of the biggest impediments is the bugs and the other things which they have to eat something. They come for the plant. They usually don't come for the vegetable, they like the leaf. This is a good partnership between us and them, they eat the leaf, we eat the vegetable. But if they eat too much leaf, then there will be not much vegetable. That's our problem. So we've been trying to do chemical warfare with them. We spray the entire place. The most irresponsible thing that we have done on the planet is that our aircrafts have been spraying insecticide, killing just everything. So to avoid that, because we saw that's bad, now we thought, whatever the bug is coming for in that particular leaf, that we take it away with genetic engineering. Or we make it taste bitter for the bug. See, the bug has taste. The bug wants to eat this leaf because it's succulent, it is nutritious for that. So you make it bitter, the leaf becomes bitter, not the vegetable, only the leaf. Because of that, the bug will not be able to eat the leaf. But then I thought, is it a permanent fix? He said, no, Sadhguru, every season we have to re-engineer it. Because within a matter of 3 months, the bug comes up with a new solution for itself. It will learn how to make bitterness to taste good. Now you have to again re-engineer it. So slowly what's happening is, in 8–10 years of genetic engineering of a specific plant, let's say, you will produce a super bug that you may not be able to handle one day. The bug will become so versatile that you may have nothing to kill that bug or to avoid that bug. So, the bug is evolving faster than your intelligence because it's his survival. He's evolving quickly and changing himself. So, I said, isn't the bug becoming stronger and stronger? He said, yes, it's amazing how strong they're becoming. So what will happen? In 50 years' time, you will have bugs that you don't know how to handle. If the bug can change his taste buds, the bug can change this and that. Suppose he decides, because you're doing all this, one day he decided he will become this big. That little bug became like this. Then what will you do? Is it a possibility? I asked him. He's very deeply immersed in these things. He said, we cannot say it's not possible. It is possible. One day bug may decide this size and this way of doing things is not good. If he's this much, if he became this much, then it'll be a different game altogether. So, we're meddling with things with bits and pieces of information. We don't know the entire scape of how genetic material is happening, not just in human being, in everything around us. Suppose you manipulated genetics, this is one possibility that some of the scientists are talking about. A manipulated genetics means, let's say it's like this, your aunt had cancer, her mother had cancer, your grandmother had cancer, so we will manipulate your genetics in such a way that you will not get cancer. That's the idea of this manipulation. With this manipulation, it is very much possible, and I think already it's manifesting in so many different ways. One thing is, allergic levels can go up big time. There's so many people in United States who are allergic to sunlight, allergic to lactose, milk, allergic to our groundnut. Allergy means, I did not know this, they were explaining in the airplane. They give me some lousy macadamia nut in the airplane, And I say, I'm not going to eat this nut. Do you have some groundnuts or peanuts or whatever you call it? No, no, it's not on this plane because there's one person who's allergic. If he's allergic, what's my problem? So not like that. If you open the packet, he will die. Really. If you just open the packet here, the man is sitting somewhere else, just the smell of it, he will suffocate and die. Can you beat this? This is not necessarily because of genetic modification in the person, but substances, chemicals and others going into the system is doing these things. So, one of the possibilities is you can become allergic to the air that you breathe. So that's good, because if I'm manufacturing oxygen tanks, I think this is very good market development because I will sell millions of this thing. Who told you you must drink 3 liters, 4 liters of water per day? Those who are selling water. Yes. No, doctors are telling. Those who are drinking, now if you drink 3-4 liters of water per day, even if it's chill in the air, that is why we have more toilets than 300 million people we have, but we have 600 million toilets, because anywhere you will want to go. Nobody ever was drinking this kind of water. Even in a tropical country where it's much warmer, we don't drink water like this. It's only in America, in the New York is cold, you will see people walking with a water bottle as if suddenly it's going to become a desert and there'll be no water and something's going to happen. This is because these are commercial interests. Somebody says, if you have coffee, you will never have a heart attack. Now somebody says, if you have coffee, you will get cancer. Those are different things. But meddling with the fundamental life substance like this, we will pay a price. In what form, we do not know. It's good, science explores all these things, it's wonderful, we must explore. But this premature usage of these things will inevitably happen when there are commercial interests. There is no way to prevent that right now.